It's Spoilerin time, folks. This is a Cordkillers production. Cordkillers, of course, a show we do where we talk about how to watch stuff. This is the show where we talk about the stuff we watched. This week, we'll be talking about Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, Season 2, Episode 2. Counterpart, Season 2, Episode 1. It's back. The Good Place returns for at least one more week with Episode 10 of Season 1 called Janet's. We're going to talk about all that and more with me, your host, Tom Merritt, and him, your other host, Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, but first we got to check in on our silly movie game, the Movie Draft. Tom, I was
first place.
I was looking at the
next
script.
Week.
You can't say that week after week after week, man. Meanwhile, the freaking Grinch continues to rack up all of the dollars.
Where are we at now? 223 million. Keeping me in first place with 508 million. That's great.
The Grinch is
my long national daydream is coming over this weekend with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse coming out for Team John Trekker, and then next weekend is when I will really be disabused of these notions when Aquaman comes out also for Team John Trekker and Bumblebee for Team Justin. I will have Welcome to Marwen, which of course is the only movie you should see this month.
I'm going to say that that's not true. In fact, I will offer you a side action bet of real money saying you'll still be number one next week, because there's no way that in one weekend John Trekker...
I'm not saying I won't be number one next week. I was just fitting the rhyme scheme. I will not be winning this movie draft because of these movies.
That's fine, but how many more weeks do you think you're going to be number one? I mean,
I guess many as I could scratch out, Brian.
I mean, the only way, I mean, maybe if second act pulls in what 30 something million, and then
and Holmes and Watson is your other one. That's gonna do 70 million, right?
Holmes and Watson isn't until next week, is it?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm looking at the end game already. All right. Can you catch me? I thought you would catch me. I think you might not be able to catch me now, Brian. I do think Team John Trekker will obliterate us all.
Wait, you think I might not catch you?
Yeah, you might.
But
I think it's possible you might not.
Okay, well you are 60 million ahead of me. I have second act, Holmes and Watson, and Vice.
Oh, I forgot about Vice. Crap. Nah, you might catch me there.
I'd be pretty surprised if those three together.
I was thinking you only had Holmes and Watson and second act. I was like, ooh, maybe Welcome to Marwen just nudges me ahead of Brian, but Vice probably takes away whatever that nudge would be.
Yeah, but then so meanwhile, so let's say you and I end up, let's say neck and neck around $550 million, because I do think, I mean, you still got a lot of time before Christmas. A lot of people are going to keep on seeing the Grinch. So I'm going to say we end up at 550. So John Trekker, it becomes Spider-Man, Aquaman.
John Trekker has Spider-Man and Aquaman, and Justin, who's in third place already, has Bumblebee.
Yeah, Bumblebee won't do more than 250.
Bumblebee's getting huge reviews, and it's a Transformers movie. Yeah. I think it's going to do better than that.
I don't think so. I think what'll happen is Bumblebee will give the fans what they've been asking for, and then it will, as so often happens in these stories, not perform as well at the box office.
That's not the buzz I'm hearing from sources close to the show. People who don't like Transformers are saying Bumblebee is a good movie.
Okay. Well, I guess my question is those are the people that I think will not go see it because it's a Transformers movie, secretly missing out, and then years later they'll be all like, "Oh, I wish I knew it was."
It's going to break one of those ways. It's either going to be a really the best Transformers movie ever, but the people who don't like Transformers are still not going to see it, or it's going to be I've only ever seen one Transformers movie and it was Bumblebee because it was so good.
I think it'll be the former. Sadly, I think it will be the best Transformers movie by a lot. And yet, I think it'll be one of the poorest performers.
We also shouldn't count out Mary Poppins Returns, which is also going to bank some good money for Team Cordkillers. The thing is, Team Cordkillers has no other movies, and they're in 5th place.
Yeah.
What Team Cordkillers does have going for it is Christy Cates' amazing rendition of Crumdum, of Mike Range's Crumdum column. We were remiss in not mentioning it last week because it came out last week, but he wrote a column in the rhyme scheme of The Grinch, and Christy sang it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So good.
Oh, that's amazing.
Absolutely so good. You have to go check out Christy Cates' Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Christy Cates, or go dig up the Crumb Dum, and he embedded it on the Crumb Dum as well.
Here we go. Here, we could listen to just a little bit, right? We're not going to get taken down for copyright.
No, I think we'll be fine.
Thanks to Gaga's Oscar role, but the pinch, it couldn't keep him out of a 36.5 mil hole.
That's amazing.
Mike Range's hilarious words paired with Christy Kate's amazing voice.
Oh, there's so much wonderful talent in Diamond Club. I absolutely love everything about this.
Yeah, go check it out, folks. All right, let's move on to The Good Place, which was back for 1 week with a bunch of Janets. Really kind of testing Darcy's range in having to play all of her well, except for I guess Ted Danson's character, but playing everybody else's character.
Yeah. And I don't know, testing her range implies that she barely stuck the landing. I felt like she did it so effortlessly. It was so good. If you haven't seen the episode, the conceit, of course, is that all of our four main characters are inhabiting a Janet body. Plus, there's regular Janet. Plus, deadpan, beige Janet in accounting. Right. She also had another Janet that she had to invent and play. Six
and that's how
characters.
Good she was at it that I forgot that was another part she played, because this is all totally different characters.
I want to say that somebody totaled it up, and Darcy had 42 minutes of screen time in a 23 or 24 minute show. It's amazing. Of all of her impressions, the only one I thought was a little bit soft was her Jason. Like I think Jason Mendoza.
Oh, that's funny.
I
thought her Jason was one of the better ones.
I thought it was a little bit
she was bad at it,
understated. I think Jason's character is portrayed by the actor playing Jason as so over the top, and I didn't get that from her.
The one that I thought was the highest difficulty for me was Eleanor.
Yes.
Because Eleanor has so few. Everybody's got a tick, right? Tahani is way over the top. Jason's got his way of talking. And Chidi's really nervous, right? You all have a tick that you can build off of, right? Just doing the tick isn't enough, but you could build off that. Eleanor doesn't really have a tick that I could think of. She's the most normal sounding. It's the things she says, because she sounds normal when she says them, that make her so funny.
She has a cadence. She has a distinctive cadence, which Darcy Carden really got perfectly.
And also the body posture really rang true, and you can see her loosen her body when she's doing Jason Mendoza, uptight with Chidi. It's really fun. It was a really, really fun episode. Most significantly, by the way, culminating in a actually emotionally impactful Janet on Janet kiss, representing Eleanor and Chidi finally acknowledging their affection for each other.
Yeah, actually, an actual technical marvel on top of an acting marvel, and an incredible part of the story to see it happen as Janet's, right? It was almost not dissatisfying, but it's like, oh, we didn't even get to see Eleanor and Chidi have that moment because they were both Janet's.
Well, but I believed it in that moment. And what's funny is it wasn't distracting, number one, from a plot thematic standpoint. Like, by that point, I had mapped onto them. That's Chidi, that's Eleanor, and I'm glad to see them kissing. Oh, wait, that's right. They're two Janets. On top of that, from a technical standpoint, the fact that it didn't, stand out as all green screeny or weird or any of that, I thought it was great. But most importantly, that moment that they figure out that they're actually in the good place at the end. How fun is that?
Yeah. And you were, I think, was it you? I think you called it. They're like, either no one or very few people are making it to the good place.
Yeah.
It wasn't no one, but it's been like 500
years. Yeah. I forgot that I had called that shot. But yeah, I thought it was, I'm excited to see where it goes from here, because now all of a sudden this is all virgin territory. This is all a blank canvas for us to explore.
Also, it was not lost on me, and it's, I think, a testament to how good the show and even this episode was, that we got Stephen Merchant, the creator of The Office, playing a character from The Office in The Good Place.
Wait, did I miss it?
He's the lead accountant.
Neil. Neil, the head
Oh,
accountant,
that's him.
is the co-creator of The Office.
I did not know any of that. That's amazing. Of course. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a nice little treat, sort of, nudged in there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Dude, the show continues to be super smart, super fun. Just enough of the story. The story's
We're finally getting story.
I
love it.
Oh, okay. I mean, it certainly doesn't hurt that we're getting story, but what I love is that the story doesn't have to be the star of the show. I know you're a bigger fan of the story
that's
parts.
the thing I love.
That's fair enough.
No, yeah. But I definitely was glad. It was either this episode or the previous episode where I was like, awesome, we are done with the Earth stuff. We are like back to doing like afterlife shenanigans.
Yeah, to me, it's not even so much about story. It's about Earth feels less special, right? When they're on Earth, it's like, this all feels like backstory, even though it's not, because you're just on Earth. When you're in the good place, it's like, okay, anything can happen because we're not on Earth anymore. So yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, the return of Counterpart, the return of our friends with the walls down between the two realms and the two Howard Silks and everyone around them. This was largely on our side of the wall, with their Howard, except with an aware wife now, that he has to not reveal that he's not her Howard, even though I think she knows that there's another Howard, but she has a memory problem. So whether she can remember that or not is a whole other question.
Well, she certainly remembers that there are two worlds, and I would have to assume that she remembers the fact that there's another Howard, whether or not she remembered, because if I remember correctly, speaking of remembering, they implied that they were having an affair, right? So there is there's a second level here where on the one hand, she perceives him as feeling like an imposter that she doesn't trust. But on the other hand, he is faking being her Howard Silk. And yet also, if I'm remembering correctly, they had a significant fling to get together. Am I making that part up? Or
well, her biggest fling was with a different guy altogether. And she briefly remembers that. Whether she remembers what she did with the other Howard, I don't know. And I don't remember particularly whether they had a fling or not.
God, I seem to remember that it was... I felt like they certainly had a relationship of some variety that was intimated at. But regardless, we don't see anything from the other side. We see everything from our side, and specifically, I do like that I'm seeing a change of framework where this is a story about spies being rooted out, and that's something I can really get on board with. To be honest, I'm not even really hungry to go back to the alpha side, to the other side of things. I don't mind just staying on our side is prime, their side is alpha, right? Is that how they designated it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think that's how we refer to it.
Even though from the very first episode, quote unquote, our Howard Silk is the protagonist, I could go a few episodes before we even check in on him and instead just see how, because they hinted at just how wide the network of spies from the alpha side of things are, and that there are lots of people to get nabbed, and seeing the uneasy partnership of alpha Howard Silk and Quail and I guess the three-way negotiations with Quail's wife
with Claire,
with Claire. I liked it a lot. I think I liked it more than most of what I saw last season. Something about the simplicity of this narrative has really sucked me in.
Well, bad news. We're probably going back to Alpha next week to find out how our Howard Prime is doing.
I'm sure, but and keep in mind, that's not saying I don't want to know what's happening over there. It's just a testament to how good they've retained their footage going into the second season here, and how they've crafted a story that I'm in, and they acknowledge the weirdness of it. Like, pretty weird to have a boss that's a camera, am I right? I really dug it. I believed it in a way that maybe I didn't believe some of the stuff in the first season.
No, I really like the new character who I can't remember her name now, but she's the new sort of the spy hunter.
Have we seen her in something else? She looks so familiar to me.
No, she's been in a bunch of stuff before. I will try to find out, but I don't know it off the top of my head. Is her name Naya? Is that the name in this?
That sounds right.
She was in Get Out.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, she was Georgina in Get Out.
Bryce,
I like that character because it's an outsider who's new to this whole thing. So we're going to get the outside eyes. It also means that Quayle can't hide as easily because her talent is being able to tell when people are doing exactly what he's doing and what Howard's doing. So we'll see who's better at that. And I'm with you. I like the whole spy hunter aspect of this thing with the setup of you can't trust anyone, even if they have the same fingerprints and identity, because they still might not be the same person. I think that's great. I am also getting really intrigued to figure out what it is, why we have these people remote, right? We finally got our first hint that it's not an AI at the top of the stairs. It's actually, at least one of them, a guy who opens up a suitcase and pulls out a thing to give advice on how to run this.
For a second, I thought I thought that was Claire's dad when they did that.
Oh yeah. No, I did too. Before they actually had him turn around. The code they were showing on screen during the conversation, I think, was gobbledygook. But I'm curious if somebody has found some pattern in there. I mean, just from the little that I understood from looking at it, it just looked like they had like put some code up on the screen. But that doesn't feel like Counterpart. So I feel like maybe I'm missing something there. But the idea that, this is being run from the outside raises a lot of questions about why this happened in the first place and who's managing it, where they are, and all of that. So yeah, I thought it was a good, strong question-raising episode.
Yeah. Also, found myself surprisingly proud and pleased with Quayle when Claire starts to put on the seductive engine again, and we see, he was so spineless and weak that entire first season that we're seeing him take stands and stick to his guns and grow as I think I'm starting to respect him, which is something that I didn't expect to experience with Quayle.
Well, his whole life has been easy, right? So now is maybe the first time he's ever been tested. And of course, he's not going to be very good when he's like, I have to actually work at things and have a spine. That's not the way it's been up to now. So it will be telling if that has really changed him or not. That's good character growth.
Yeah, agree.
I like it. All right, let's talk about Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency 2016, episode 2 of the second season, which sees Dirk Gently finally show back up. But also, Brian, we got another vignette in the kingdom right at the beginning.
Tom, can I confess something?
What's that?
I've had a fine time with this series so far. Okay. A lot of season 1 felt like bordering on work. Season 2, only 2 episodes in, has been an absolute joy. Freed from the shackles of trying to figure out how all this works, I have learned to trust that they will give me an answer. And because I trust them, I have loved every second. This was maybe my favorite experience of a full episode because it was so light and it required so little effort on my part. And my favorite part of all of it was, here I am, gird my loins, getting ready for it. Like, okay, he's going to have to explain all the holistic stuff. They don't do any of that. The cop gets it and is taking notes and is saying like, so this is in the 3rd recursive timeline when so-and-so pretending to be so-and-so did it. He's like, yes, exactly. And I just
love you.
I felt this wave of like, yes, oh, this is great. This is great.
It started to be fun again. Now, I will remind you that both of us were very excited at episode 2 of season 1 of Dirk Gently still. So,
sure. But having said all of that, I love this is twice in a row that they're making a big punch out moment in Fantasyland of like Dirk Gently. That's the crossover thread here. But again, I trust it. I like the standalone vignette of what happens when a disempowered wife who's in some kind of abusive relationship, powerless over her son, is suddenly given the gift of agency and power and uses it. And of course, we're seeing a shortened version of it because it's all magic or whatever. Loving it. I'm loving all of it.
I really like the fact that her character isn't just a wronged housewife who is now finally been given power, but there's an element that maybe she's not a good person.
Oh, she's not a good person.
Anyway.
She's definitely not a good person.
So this isn't like her getting her just revenge and being tempted to overuse it and back off. Oh no. This woman shouldn't have power. She also shouldn't have been treated the way she's been treated, but that doesn't mean that she's going to use her powers for good, which I find much more interesting.
I got the impression that she earned some amount of where she has ended up in life. And that makes it all the more interesting that she's kind of given this what appears to be a get out of jail free card, and that she's using it not. In fact, I would say 100% it's been to be lazy by not cleaning up after herself, which is something she could have done from the beginning. I would say the one moral thing she did was repair her leg. Everything else was she's lazy,
well,
and so she.
There's a weird moment where she yells at her son and then feels bad, right? And so I'm like, okay, I love it because there is complexity here where she's like, oh, I really shouldn't do that, almost though as if she has tried to learn from her mistake and is about to unlearn whatever the learning, because the husband makes mention of like, you know, after what you did, whatever, like something else in her past we don't know about.
Yeah, like outside of fixing her leg, we have her explore vanity by making herself look good and do the easy route to get a six-pack ab or whatever, to clean up the house because she can't be bothered to do that, to counterfeit money, and to take a non-consensual control over her husband to shut him up and put him to work. I mean, and to the tune of murdering a dog. Hey, Tom, you know how you could tell who a character is bad? Is when they kill a dog or have a dog killed on their behalf.
She's over. You don't kill a dog.
Yeah.
I don't care. I would have characterized her as not taking the time to clean up, not bothering to clean up, but overworked, not having the time to clean up and getting no help from her husband until we saw this. And then I start to think, or is it? I don't know.
Separate thread, and it's a minor thread, but I hope they continue with it. I like, for the first time in season 2, our supposed protagonist of Frodo Baggins,
Todd Brotzman.
Todd has a fan, and we feel just a little bit of agency and power return to Todd, and that's fun.
Well, and it's the only agency and power he has, because the rest of the time when he's talking about what circles, everybody's like, shut up, Todd. That's dumb.
Right. And meanwhile, we're almost certain that he's onto something.
Well, obviously you don't make that much out of the wet circles and dismiss him that much in front of us if it's like, no, there's definitely something going on with the wet circles.
A brief check-in with the Rowdy Three, which I thought was an interesting plot development, that they're having a harder time getting significant visions out of Todd's sister. Also, I didn't mind at all the all too precious, too perfect, on the nose moment that the sheriff is like, "Hey, also I read up on your condition, and these are pills for my dog." But
my cat pills.
Yeah, I loved all of that. It was as though they say,
well, because they have Dirk go, "Isn't it an amazing coincidence that the sheriff has exactly the pills for his cat that you need?" It's like, oh, okay, this isn't so. It's on the nose on purpose because that's the way the world works here.
Well, and to me, it was a bit of them turning to the audience to say, "We trust that you trust us by now, right?
Yeah.
Can we skip all this? Great, and we got
fantastic. I am right there with you on this one. So, looking forward to finding out where that goes next.
One other quick note: the set design, the world design. That kooky wide shot with a gigantic smiling crescent moon and all that. It's gorgeous. I love how fantastical the fantasy element feels in this.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to figuring out how that all ties in. So Thank you, folks, for spending some time with us and chatting about shows with us. Keep the comments coming, cordkillers@gmail.com, and the support coming at patreon.com/cordkillers. And we'll spoil you again next week. You lugs.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.